Right, so obviously with One Piece chapter 1021 now out and all this, with all the stuff that's happening with Momo, there's a lot of stuff that changed in my head, and there's two kind of concepts about Wano I wanted to talk about. But we're going to talk about Momo for a second now, just for this, and I'll talk about the other one in a little while at some other point. If it doesn't happen between that point, but we'll see for now. I'll give it a couple more chapters, see what I think about it. But this one I do want to talk about. Momo is going up to fight Kaido now. That's pretty much how it's gonna go, right? And I think this could be very interesting. There's a lot that you could do with Momo now. You could have him be a support for Luffy, which he probably will be, alright? And he probably won't be that strong, right? He probably won't have a mastery of hockey. I think he will have some, because hockey is all about the will. And as I said, Momo is the son of Odin, and has shown an amazing amount of will. As I said, I don't like a lot of the stuff he's done, especially on the Straw Hat ship, but everything that wasn't about a gag or anything like that, Momo has been a pretty decent character. Pretty well executed, other than the stuff he's done with Nami and Robin and all that. That was very strange and wasn't well executed, and kind of didn't really help his case, honestly, to me. Again, I'm not going to talk about that again because I've done that for two fucking episodes at this point. So I'm not going to go on about that again. But Momo was done very well, especially in Wano now, and everything that's been going on, and now his kind of drive has been kind of amplified. We've seen how much he wants to free Wano and how far he's willing to go, right? And we see him now, he might be raised up into an adult, right? And that's a very compelling concept. Because there's many ways we could go with this. Obviously, the first thing that's going to happen is everyone's going to confuse him for Odin. And they're going to be like, Odin's back! And then it's going to be like the big third surprise. Because remember, everyone thought Odin was back 2 times and now he's not. People are going to think he's back the 3rd time. But no, it's Momonosuke. Do you know what I mean? And that's going to be the big gag. And then it's going to be like, so you are Odin's son after all. It's like, Kaido, I'm here to face you, and then all that jazz, all that big, like that moment for Momo. It's gonna be a massive moment where he's like, "Oh, Kaido," and all this. But here's what I think. Everyone's going on about. Here's what I'm gonna get to right now. Everyone's going on about ZKK Zoro kills Kaido, but what about MKK Momo kills Kaido? Because now there's a lot of stuff that could actually go towards that at this point. At this point, right now, I'm actually I think the idea of at least Momo being perceived as the person who beat Kaido would be a very, very good thing to look at for the end of Wano. I'm not saying he will be the one to defeat Kaido. I'm saying he will be perceived as the one who had defeated Kaido. And here's how it goes. Right, so basically, obviously he's going to help out now, yeah? There's 2 ways they can. Obviously, he's going to help out with Luffy now and Yamato. He's going to help the fight. He's probably going to be with Yamato for a while and help her out before Luffy arrives. Oh, no, wait. Sorry. Luffy is on Momo's back, so they're going to arrive there, right? Like, that's how it's going to work. They're going to arrive together. And then that whole scene is going to play out. And then Momo's going to learn how to fight on the fly against Kaido. And Luffy's probably going to be a bit. Luffy and Yamato are going to be a bit distracted trying to protect Momo from Kaido, so that's how they're probably going to lose again, or something's going to happen. But most importantly, Momo's going to learn how to fight and at least damage Kaido somewhat, or at least contribute. Because don't forget, he's in the country of Wano, they're trained samurai, so you could say Momo knows a decent bit, or maybe you could have a flashback where Kinemon's teaching him a little bit of basic Ryo, even just telling him the concept. So we know when he does acquire hockey, he can learn it on the fly pretty easily. And yes, people are going to find it a bit of an ass pull, but when you do something like this, you've got to realize there are a lot of things that can contribute to it. For one, he has shown an immense amount of will, and Rayleigh has said before that hockey blooms on the battlefield. So fighting against Kaido seems like the perfect place for your hockey to bloom, doesn't it? And then he's also the son of Odin. So that will strengthen his hockey and his will considerably. Along with the fact that he was a child with all this will, so when he's an adult, the strength of his body and his will combined are going to release an immense amount of hockey. And we have seen him train with one of those kendo sticks or kendo swords, is that what they're called? Constantly throughout this arc, trying to show that he will be ready to fight, at least in some capacity. So he's not going to be able to hurt Kaido very much, but enough to where he will contribute somewhat to the fight, even to set up attacks for Luffy, right? He will contribute to saving Wano. Or even what might happen is, and here's another thing that could happen, we're going to just talk about Adult Momo's possibilities real quick before we talk about actually him getting the credit for killing Kaido or beating Kaido. You could have Orochi with his final head show up again, and then he has to take out Orochi, and like basically Kaido and Orochi are on the same, like Big Mom and Kaido, but obviously Kaido doesn't like Orochi. But I feel like his respect for Odin will allow him to allow Orochi to fight against Momo, being like, I will allow you to take your revenge, because he's he respects a lot. So obviously if he's on a fun fight with Luffy and Yamato, he's going to be very respectful and be like, I will allow you to fight Orochi. I feel like that's the type of thing. Kaido is very honor based in that regard. We've seen a lot about him. I could see that happening. Now obviously at any point if Kaido gets fed up with this, he could literally just fucking clobber both of them. So it's not going to be, there's going to be a lot of threat, but not from Orochi himself. And that could be Momo's fight. That could be his big moment, taking down Orochi. And let's say this happens, right? Because we saw the mysterious figure, and everyone's like, it's Hiyori, it's Toki. But if it's just Hiyori, like is probably going to be, right? You could have a dual fight where both of them fight Orochi's final head, right? Because she's going to come up the stairs, let's say, to the roof. Or, hell, there might not be a roof anymore. The roof might end up being destroyed because of the shit that's going on now. So there might not be a roof anymore, yeah? They might be on the ground level. Everyone might be on the ground level. And then they have a nice moment where Hiyori meets her brother for the first time. And he's back aged up to 28. Or maybe he's only aged up to 18. I don't know how they're going to do it. He might be 28 again. And then he's going to see his brother, and she's going to be like, you look a lot like Dad. And he's like, you've grown up too, sis. Or he might say, you look beautiful, or something nice like that. And then they kind of just look at each other, then they look at Orochi, and then they say, we're going to save Wano. And then that's going to be their fight. I feel like that's going to be a very nice moment for Momonosuke, right? And I feel like that's going to work very well for both their characters. And will set up their worthiness to be Shogun. And I said their worthiness because I honestly think Momo's not gonna exclude his sister and all this. They're gonna have, like, he's gonna be like the figurehead ruler, but she's gonna do all the paperwork and shit. She's the real adult. He still has the mind of a child, so he's gonna need her. She's gonna be like his advisor. You know what I mean? And then he might go off with the Straw Hats or at some point, because he's needed for the Dawn of the World as well. So it's very complex. There's a lot of things we can talk about, but again, I think that's more saved for later, because that could involve something which I will get into now later. But the idea would be that they fight Orochi, and then that's their kind of big fight, you know. And Momo's an adult now, so, and I don't know who has it, Amino Habakiri, but let's say he gets that, and you know, we're kind of, that's the big fight, and I could see that happening, and that would be cool and all, and that's Momo's big fight. And then once they finish, they try and help against Kaido, but they don't do much, and then we have the big Straw Hats versus Kaido type thing, which I've been hammering on about for ages, which I still want. I really want that Straw Hats versus Kaido. But I'm just saying right now, right, that I think what's going to happen really at the end of the day is Momo is going to, let's say Momo and Hiyori beat Orochi, or maybe Orochi doesn't show up at all, right? What is going to happen is pretty simple, okay? They fight, like, Luffy and Yamato, and maybe the Straw Hats, maybe not. And maybe Zoro's back, maybe, or, you know, the idea of the Momotaro legend is what Luffy represents the monkey, Yamato represents the dog, and then Marco represents the phoenix, right? And then you got Momotaro, obviously. So the idea now would be that basically what's going to happen is Luffy and all them are going to fight Kaido, and Momo's going to help out. But somehow, some way, he's gonna be able to advance his hockey enough to be able to deal the final blow. Kaido might be nearly down and nearly dead, but he will deal the final blow, or maybe even just knock him out. But I'm telling you, like, Momonosuke, whether Luffy tries to get in the final blow, because maybe they might be in front of Wano, or maybe they might be on Wano at that point in time. so people can see it. And to see Momo take the final blow from Kaido, or make it look like he did, will do so much for his eligibility as leader. And I think it's a need to kind of have something like that. Even have him kind of take credit. Like, he tries to tell the people, Monkey D. Luffy has defeated Kaido, and then he does the whole thing, like even when he did with Kobe, or did in Dressrosa, where he tries to be a villain once more. Or even like tries to get Momonosuke to beat him. You know what I mean? Like, kind of beat him. Like, get Momonosuke angry and Momo like hits him, and then he goes flying or something. Kind of like that, like he did with Kobe or all that jazz. Just to kind of give him a bit more credibility, be a nice dude at the end of the day. And I feel like that stuff's going to happen with Momo. And then we're going to have, if the whole theory about his Oden's granddad or Oden's dad being like Suigetsu, the guy with the red mask, there will be a nice reunion when he recognizes Momonosuke or realizes who it is. Or, you know, he's going to realize that it's his grandkids, and it's going to be a nice reunion. We're going to figure out all of this, and that might be when we figure out about Shimosuke and Zoro's connection to Wano. And maybe they'll figure out, oh my god, he is the relative of Ryuma, and that's when he gets Shitsui back. He gives Enma back to Hiyori, and he gets Shitsui back. But now because of his experience with Enma, he can now use Shitsui to its fullest ability. And that's my opinion now, because by the end of the series, by the end of this arc, he will not need Enma to bring out his full potential, and he can do that with Shisui, and will bring out the full potential with Shisui as a blade. And probably by the next arc, he will make Kuina's blade a black blade, and then that will make it all full circle. He has Shisui to represent his heritage, and he's turned the Wazamono, I think it's the Wazamono, into a black blade to represent his dream and his promise to his friend. And now that will be Zoro's arc finished at that point, I think. Once he beats Mihawk, and then his final blade becomes a black blade, or maybe he just beats Mihawk. Maybe they don't elaborate on the black blade thing. I don't know, but I feel like he'll get Shisui back by the end of Wano, and that'd be a nice moment for Momo as well. And he realizes that everything has aligned for him. Like, you know, the descendant of Ryuma has come back, and Joy Boy has come back to Wano to protect their country. And he thanks everybody, and let's say he says, you know, we'll fly the Straw Hat flag or something like that, because they are still not part of the world government. And again, this is my thought process at this point. We're not going to go into my main thoughts, because you already see that with the chapter reviews, what I actually think will happen. But if we go with the Momo idea, this would be a very cool alternate way to go about it. You know, and we could still have, after all this, the world government come in, and we could still have the Grand Fleet stuff. And Big Mom, I honestly don't know what they're going to do with Big Mom if this situation does happen, if this scenario happens. Now, it could be the fact where, like, Big Mom comes out of the rubble and maybe just gets away. Maybe goes away. You know, maybe it shows Straw Hat's pure. Like, if we're like, maybe look at it this way, and I think this could be an interesting way to look at it. To show his progress, let's say, to Luffy's progress, after he's defeated Kaido, we have Marcos, he's healed up relatively. And Big Mom comes out of the rubble, and we get a scene where she's like, Straw Hat, I will finally get to kill you and take my revenge. And he just looks at her, and the fear that comes to her face, and she runs. Like, it's only momentary, because she'll compose herself, but like, it just gets her to move, get out of there. Like, he is becoming real Yonko. He is becoming Bob the Yonko. He can make them fear him to an extent. In a sense, I think that'd be real cool. Or even if they have Luffy and Zoro, you know, just to kind of show that it could be done. I think that'd be real cool. Or even the fact maybe he just hits her away. Do you know what I mean? Or as most people think, she's dealt with much earlier and just hit off the island again, and then they just go back to Whole Cake after that, which I think could be a possibility as well. There's so many ways they could do this. Obviously, I'm just talking about different thoughts on how Wano could end and what could happen and all this jazz about Momo. You know, I'm just talking about what my thoughts are on how Momo could be important in this arc. You know, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot about it that's extremely interesting, and so much thoughts on it. And there's so much they could do with Yamato as well. Now, do I think Momo is going to join the crew? After about chapter, was it 114 or 1014, where he read the book, I was like, oh, that would make sense. But I don't know, honestly, bro. I don't know anymore how it's gonna go. Because I could see him going away, but then he would just be repeating what his dad did, and that could be completely understandable in a way, because Hiyori is obviously well more equipped to be Shogun than he is. Like, he has the will, and he has the physical power, probably, but, you know, he's still a child, and he still needs to learn. And he'll go away as a necessity to help his country and help the world, rather than just to enjoy himself, and he's more of a duty-bound person. So that would make sense, and it would be a way to make him not be disrespectful to his own country, and he'd be leaving it in the hands of his sister. And then, hopefully, praying to God, Yamato comes as a retainer, but we don't know, because this devil fruit, her devil fruit could bring that all down the toilet, which I hope not. Come on, give me some Yamato action, boys. Please, 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 please. I just want Yamato on the crew. And I realize every time I make a One Piece video about Wano, this is how I ended off talking about Yamato on the crew. But, oh, Jesus, I just need it. I need it. She's probably my favourite Wano character at this point, besides Kaido himself, which I'm really intrigued by. And Rox, obviously. But Rox is more of a reverie character, so... I don't know if this is my favourite arc, because I was going to say Whole Cake was one of my favourite arcs, probably my favourite arc for a while. Until I kind of Wano started to get going, you know. I love Whole Cake, and it really. Oh, we'll get into that later. I might talk about my love for Whole Cake at some point after I rewatch it again and see if it still holds up. I might reread it actually instead. Maybe I'll see what the manga is like for Whole Cake. Anyway, this is going way off topic. Lastly, all I can say is I think Momo will be considered the person to have killed Kaido or to have taken down Kaido. Even if he didn't, Luffy's gonna make it in a way where it looks like Momo did, so Momo gets the credit. Or maybe they know, maybe it's a Dressrosa situation where they know, but they know Momo put in the effort, and because the people are just happy that they're gone, they praise Momo for it. It's like a Dressrosa situation, and I'd like that as well. I think that would suit very well. Yeah, there's so much that can be done with this.